This lecture is an interpretation of the allegory of the Oxherding Pictures, which is an allegory about the stages of enlightenment according to Zen Buddhist philosophy. It's interesting to note that in Western religion, we have the idea of being or fullness or perfection of God, which we give the predicates of omniscient, all-knowing, omnipresent, all-present, omnipotent, all-powerful. The same absolute in Buddhism is an absolute opposite to the idea of fullness and being. It is an absolute of emptiness. This is the highest religious principle. Here begins the allegory. The first stage of enlightenment is the searching for the ox. Now, the ox is a metaphor for pure experience. What does it mean when one says pure experience? The objective is to overcome duality of experience, which is the idea of the viewer, the I, and that which is viewed, the world. Pure experience is a union of subjective and objective experience. Searching for the ox is the novice priest who comes to the Zen master and asks, I am looking for the true self. The Zen master already knows the true self can never escape the novice priest and teaches him this through the idea of meditation, which aims at emptying the mind of all thought through control of the breath. Why would the mind want to be emptied of thought? It is understood that thinking can lead to false conclusions regarding enlightenment. For example, the Zen master might ask the novice, where does the sound of the bell come from? Does it come from the bell itself, or does it come from the void within? Well, if one were to answer either the bell, of course, there is no sound without the void. And if one were to answer it's the void within, there is no sound without the bell, the material. So the false conclusion is that both the material and the self are needed for pure experience, and that pure experience is a union of the two. Seeing the ox comes with discipline of meditation and with study of the sutras. Catching the ox, however, requires practice. It is not immediately that when one sits down to meditate that emptiness of mind occurs. Through counting breaths in decades and keeping focused on the breath, one can gradually let the thoughts bubble to the surface and let them go. This practice becomes easier as one does it more often. Catching the ox is a result of practice. In the fifth stage of enlightenment, taming the ox, even when one sits to meditate and can easily attain a non-dual experience through emptying the mind of thought, there is still the problem of taming the appetites, lusts, drives, greed. It takes focus on right intention, right speech, right livelihood, right mindfulness, that one overcomes the difficulties and weaknesses of human nature. With virtuous conduct in the evolution of a person, one can ride home happily on pure experience. For virtuous conduct is also a level of happiness of the soul. At some point, a virtuous person does not need to search for the true self. They are the true self. They are pure experience. But yet the self is alone. Existence is not erased. The highest stage of religious development comes when the pure self and the world, the self, it's forgotten. There is a unity of self and world in absolute emptiness. Few are able to describe this kind of enlightenment, for this is the highest religious principle according to the Zen Buddhists. And perhaps if one could describe it with logic, it wouldn't be the enlightenment that is so sought after. One can only wonder at the mystery of such a union. Because it was absolute negation as the highest principle of religious development, it is a negation that negates itself, and there is a return to being, to the origin of all things. Here it is a recollection of an ethical stance toward all that exists. It is an idea of non-interference with that which one has relationship to. There is no domination, there is no manipulation, there is no conceptualization. It is a relationship of wu wei, or non-interference, so that all become fully who they are. The very last stage of Zen Buddhist enlightenment is called entering the marketplace. If one is an enlightened person, one will have compassion for brothers and sisters and enter into relationships with helping hands. This might be akin to the idea in Christian Western thought, where to love one's brother as oneself, you must first love God. Religious experience is real to different cultures, and it is expressed differently in different cultures. We see the comparison of Christian culture with God as absolute being, fullness, perfection, all-knowing, all-present, unchanging, and eternal. And we see in Eastern thought the principle of absolute emptiness, the negation of ego, the unity of the self with world in pure experience. This ends the discussion and comparison of the Oxherding pictures with some of Christian Western thought.